Hello and welcome to the third episode of Vision, Culture, and Policy. My name is Sabah Al-Khamis, and I'll be your host for this podcast series. In today's episode, we'll be uncovering architecture in Saudi Arabia, how architecture serves as a mirror reflecting the values, traditions, and identity of a society. As architect Frank Gehry aptly put it, architecture should speak of its time and place, but yearn for its timelessness. Spanning an immense 2.15 million square kilometers, Saudi Arabia's architectural landscape is a tapestry of heritage and architectural styles. Traditionally, Saudi Arabia's architecture has been intricately linked to its diverse regions, each bearing unique characteristics shaped by factors such as climate and locally available building materials. Take, for instance, the cultural heritage sites in Njoud and the central area of Saudi Arabia, where mud structures adorned with distinctive triangles dominate the architectural scene. These elements not only reflect the region's hot climate, but also serve practical purposes. Mud, being a poor conductor of heat, ensures a cooler interior environment, while triangular motifs act as both a design feature and as a strategic defense against harsh sunlight, offering inhabitants privacy and protection. Another example is located in the southern region, where Asir province is nestled in the high mountains. A Mediterranean climate with dry summers and rainy winters prevails. Due to its distinctive geographical location, constructing homes made out of stones in elevated areas serves the dual purpose of offering protection against potential threats and mitigating the risks posed by flash floods in the valley parameters. Each region in Saudi Arabia boasts a unique style, design, and architecture, tailored to its inhabitants and geographical features. However, in modern times, distinguishing one major city from another within Saudi Arabia has become challenging. As architectural designs have converged, this convergence raises the question of, why has this homogenization occurred? The architectural landscape of Saudi Arabia has evolved through 4 distinct phases, each reflecting the profound socio-economical transformations experienced by the country. These phases not only trace the developments of architectural styles, but also encapsulates the shifting dynamics and aspirations within Saudi society. Phase number 1, which I'd like to call human-centric. Dating back to the earliest settlements until the 1960s, Saudi architecture relied on elemental resources such as mud, rocks, palm leaves, and wood. This era saw the construction of cities and villages that were meticulously tailored to the needs of their inhabitants, placing humans at the center of architectural design considerations. Phase number 2, which I'd like to call fruits of labor. During this phase, a significant shift occurred with the integration of agricultural and industrial materials into the construction landscape. This transformative period coincided with the abundant results of oil discovery in the country, propelling its economy to new heights. The subsequent influx of foreign laborers marked the initial introduction of foreign architectural styles, and the industrialization of building materials underscored by the burgeoning economic and structural changes taking place in Saudi Arabia. Phase number 3, bigger is better, marked a significant decline in architectural identity, following the discovery of oil reshaping the lives of people in Saudi Arabia. The introduction of new architectural styles by foreign laborers unfamiliar with the local cultural and indigenous design principles brought about a departure from traditional Saudi architectural characteristics. The emphasis on grandeur and the notion that larger structures signified progress led to a shift away from community-oriented designs, substituting a more car-centric approach. This transition reflected a move from human-centric architectural practices towards a focus on scale and vehicular convenience, diminishing the essence of communal living in the architectural fabric of the country. Phase number 4, architectural cultural identity restored. On November 2021, the Ministry of Culture unveiled the King Salman Charter for Architecture and Urbanism. This initiative set out to breathe new life into our architectural cultural identity, weaving together diverse regions to create vibrant spaces that promote collaboration and elevate the quality of life for all. At its core, the Charter champions authenticity, unveiling the essence of each place through distinct designs, continuity, embracing growth while honoring national identity and local pride, human centricity, placing individuals and communities at the heart of inclusive design, and livability, crafting safe, inviting, and socially cohesive environments. Innovation, encouraging the exploration of fresh perspectives in design. And finally, sustainability, advocating for environmental, social, and economic well-being. This dynamic initiative's core values addresses the challenges posed by the past architectural changes, offering a comprehensive approach to creating spaces that resonate with our culture and heritage while embracing the needs of the future. Today, we have the privilege of welcoming two distinguished architects whose expertise will provide invaluable insights into the architectural landscape of Saudi Arabia. But before we delve into the interviews, I want to express my sincere appreciation to the architects who have played a crucial role in preparing this episode. Your contributions have been instrumental, and I'm deeply thankful for your assistance. Special thanks to Abdulaziz Al-Uthman, Dad Shakha, and Njoud Alanbari. She's usually seen in her yellow vest and her archaeological gear. Joining us today, the architect, conservation and restoration architect, and my good friend, Njoud Alanbari. Njoud, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sabah, for having me today.
No problem.
Thank you for this
thank
opportunity.
You for being here. Thank you for taking the time. And thank you for coming the day before Ramadan. يعني شهر مبارك عليك وعلى الجميع إن شاء الله. So Njoud, what is, I know I've worked with you, and I see you all the time covered in mud, walking around the sites. What does your job entail as a conservation and restoration architect? What do you do exactly? Because I'm your friend and I don't even know so. In detail, يعني.
Okay. So mainly what I do is protecting historical assets, dealing with the site layer by layer.
Okay.
The topography, the geography of the site, what is under the ground, which means archaeology, documenting the site, then putting the assessments, the needed assessments for the ruins to be protected and restored.
Okay.
Whether you want to open it to the public, whether you want to keep it as is, each asset is unique by itself, and you have to build cases to be able to justify the procedures that we'll implement on the ruins.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So this practice is very, very new to the country. Yani, even at the time that you studied this, it was still very new. What made you decide to study something like this, and what made you think that you could have a job when you got back?
Well, yeah, your question is totally valid, and it could be a risk because you might not find a job.
Yeah.
But since I was so young, I saw potential in archaeology, and I really loved being in archaeological sites physically and watching documentaries about such topics. So I believed in what I was deciding. I believed in what I was studying. And mainly when I went there, because I studied in Italy, and the university was a very old university established during the 18th century.
Wow.
And it's not about the date of the university. It's more about, in this university, they believe that bad students, even bad students, they have a chance. And
that's a good school.
Thank you. Because even in architecture, most of the most famous architects, they didn't even study in universities.
Yeah.
So just they practiced and they became like very famous architects. While I was there, actually, the country started focusing more on heritage.
Yeah.
And then I came back and my job was ready for me, even before coming back.
So it
2019.
was okay. It was luck.
It was, yes,
Purely luck.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's nice. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
So you said you studied in Italy.
Yeah.
What made you? How can you implement your practice from Italy, or the things that you've learned in Italy, to the archaeological sites or heritage sites in Saudi? How does that...
It's a very good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Unti. So mainly, why did I decide to go to Italy? Because Italians, the Romans, they collected all histories from different cultures, and then they created their own whatsoever. يعني بغض النظر. So in Italy, you cannot work as an architect until you deal with conservation or you deal with history. Because if you dig, there is history. If you see in geography, cultures, they take from each other and they learn from each other.
Yeah.
So the geographical location of Italy in relationship to Saudi Arabia, there is a very clear connection.
Interesting. How?
During the caravan trails, during the trade, whether we are speaking about the historical times or even the current times.
Yeah.
Italian culture, they were so influenced by the Arabs. So once you are there, you can find huge traces and critical traces of Arabian cultures. At the beginning, I was impressed, but this didn't continue.
Yeah.
I found that these majestic buildings from different European periods, they had even more, it's beautiful, beautiful and amazing.
Yeah.
But me as an architect, the designer, the artist,
they had more potential to become something better?
No. I found myself more into minimal architecture.
Okay.
Sustainable architecture.
Okay.
Less exaggeration architecture. And this is my taste now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that back then.
Okay.
Because when I was in Europe, and it's a beautiful place, and you cannot neglect the evolution of time and history and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the buildings has even more personality than you as an individual. So this was a contradiction.
Contradiction. I know that traveling around the country is a passion of yours. You've been to the north a few times, you've been to the south, east, west, and you live in the center. What do you see in your perspective is in common between architectural styles in each and every part of Saudi? What is something that differentiates each and every part, and what is something that you see is in common between all of them?
Okay. So what differentiates is Saudi Arabia is huge. Has variety in topography, in culture, background. Definitely it got influenced by the neighbor countries.
Okay.
Relying also on the trade and the caravan trails, and this continues until today.
Yeah.
So what is different is each region is unique by their culture and rich and rooted.
Yeah.
What can unify everything is sustainability and the simplicity, yet very sophisticated.
Okay.
In harmony with the orientation of nature.
Okay.
So very scientifically justified.
Wow. Okay.
This is my own perception.
Yeah. Interesting. And is there something that you can say, and Najd is very similar to the north or very similar to the south, and this specific thing in terms of, I don't know, building houses, for example, or how the houses are made, or I'm not an architect, so help me out.
Yes, there is similarities. يعني building with mud, building with adobe.
Yeah.
This is something that is common all around Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
But what could differentiate is like the ornaments, how the aesthetical parts, the aesthetical aspects, and could be functional at the same time.
Okay.
The doors, for example, even يعني القصيم is part of Najd, but in Qasim they overcolor
the doors.
Door, and in contrast to Najd, it's more minimal and simple, yet also very sophisticated and spiritual, inspired by nature. They were very grounded, embedded in their geography.
What I know is the colors of the doors indicate socioeconomical differences. If you're rich, then you have a very colorful door. You have a door that's very, a lot of embellishments, a lot of colors. But if you're a bit on the poorer side, then your door is not that festive. Is that true? Or?
It's true. It's true. But in Najd, even though it was more...
Either way, it was like in Najd, it was calmer.
Yes.
Okay.
More كذا representative.
All right. No shade to Al Qasim though. Okay.
Yeah.
So what given the fact that this is a very new and niche practice in Saudi, what are some of the difficulties that you have faced in conservation and restoration? Because it's very new, laws are new, policies are very new, and I'm sure that they change every now and then. So,
okay. So
how do you deal with that?
Yeah, the challenge is bringing theory into practice.
Yeah.
Even though some experts, we have them here, يعني, they saw a seminar or they read a book and they think that this could be applicable. But once you transform theory into practice, this is the challenge. And then you have to work with local contractors.
Okay.
And local contractors, they don't understand these concepts of going minimal. They are used to specific way dealing with ruins in a more heavy protection.
Okay.
So they some of the important traces are gone. And the traces are very important, even though you think it's a sensitive approach to history.
Yeah.
But the traces tells a lot about the past.
Okay, let's I'll give you an example. You go to a historical site. They have a wall made out of mud that is about to fall down. What do you do to restore this wall?
See,
give me a step by step.
Who the good thing about our culture, even our building, it's not about the wall.
Okay.
Because it is very modular, it's very flexible, it's done by a very simple material.
Okay.
It's more about what does this wall represent to the people who are living now and who lived in the past.
Okay.
Even if you are going to demolish this wall. Okay. This is the contrast between us and Europeans, because I studied the European discipline.
Okay.
And in Njoud specifically, because now I'm working more in Njoud, we're more flexible, we're more innovative.
Okay.
So if it's an adobe wall, we wouldn't
redo it?
We wouldn't complicate it unless there is a story.
Let's say there is a story.
There is a story, then, okay, depending on the justification. If it's a very important wall, then definitely.
It's a very important wall.
Very important wall.
I want you to give me a step-by-step of what you do.
Okay, خلاص. Very important wall. Then we start documenting.
Okay.
So with documentation.
Okay.
Laser scan, all the technology اللي can support that.
Okay.
And then we build assessment like a doctor. We point out where is the problems in this wall.
Okay.
طيب. And then we point out the intervention. And then even before the intervention, we stabilize it. We have to stabilize it, we shore it, and then we fix it.
You stabilize it with like sticks?
Like once you have a broken hand. So you just...
You cast it, basically.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yes, it's like طبيب جراح. You know? It's like a doctor.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. And then?
Now this is كده. Yeah, this is one part of conservation. Moving forward, you fix the problems. And before fixing the problems, you prepare كل الماتيريال, whether it's stone, mud, the mixes, the needs fermentation.
Okay.
Even the stitching, we're using more new materials such as fiberglass and stuff.
What is stitching?
Stitching يعني إذا في there is cracks, so you
Okay, so
you stitch the cracks
with the same material. Because when you say stitching, the only thing that comes to mind is stitching.
Yes,
you know.
فإحنا we use two main materials.
Okay.
Either wood, which is wood coming from palm trees,
Okay.
or tamarisk, or what is now new, fiberglass bars. So we stitch them. بعدين you grout it نفس المد but in different ratios.
Okay.
And then you seal كل هذه الstitches. هنا هذا كله it's called like emergency stabilization conservation. We didn't even reach the intervention, bringing it to the now.
Okay.
Bringing it to the public.
Okay.
Putting in the interpretation layer, because what I mentioned before is the masculine aspects. Then comes the feminine.
To beautifying it.
Yes.
Making it representable.
Yes, and the story, the interpretation. يعني because what brings it to the people, because at the end of the day you want to bring it to the people if you want.
Yeah.
يعني you need to build a very good interpretive story that is justified.
Okay. That's a very nice step by step.
Yes.
Do you think I should be a conservation restoration architect now? I think I have all the steps.
You got it all.
خلاص.
And you've been dealing with mud. You've been dealing with cultural heritage.
Yeah.
You've been. Yes, definitely.
It was a joke, but I don't think I'm good. I'm good for now. I've had my fair share of being around mud, so I think I'm good.
No, we want you. We want you back.
I want me back too. But yeah. So working with heritage sites, historical sites, usually is very, very delicate because it's something that is super political when you have UNESCO come in the chat. What are some of the guidelines and terms and standards and measurements that UNESCO usually ask for? Is it with materials? Is it with how you take care of it after the fact of restoring it? Yeah. How do you deal with that? Because I remember in some of the places in the site, in one of the heritage sites, we couldn't even touch the walls because they were very, very delicate. And they could, I don't want to say crumble down, but you can, you can, when you touch it,
it's like powder.
Yes, you'd feel it.
Okay. ما هو the thing is, sometimes overprotecting might cause damages. This is me being on site on the field.
Okay.
So we definitely, there is a situation.
How does that happen? Wait, if you overprotect something, you can damage it.
Yeah, and if you overput guidelines and then you don't activate those guidelines and then people start being afraid of dealing with this asset, doing the maintenance.
I got
and
you.
then it's gonna do the crumbling, the powdering, and all the deterioration and.
Okay.
So UNESCO, yes, it's a tool. It's a manifesto.
Okay.
It's a source. You can go there based on the site.
All right.
And the parameter of the site.
Okay.
And you decide the parameter on the site. And how would I do it? Because sometimes even defining this parameter is a little bit tricky, especially that because of the development, a huge number of the historical facts is missing.
Okay.
But I would rely on the topography and the oral history.
Okay.
And the word of the mouth. And then you start defining. So based on this area, you start digging into the UNESCO. And this is what I would do. Because there is no a specific way to do things. There is many ways to do things.
It's just the rightest way to do things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And choosing the content, because there is cultural landscape, there is historical urban landscape, there is many scenarios that the UNESCO developed.
Okay.
But I wouldn't go rigid because it is an entity that is developed based on urgent need as a solution, and to put all the historical legacy, let's say, in one protected place, which is beautiful, which is beautiful, and it adds more protection to sites and more importance and depth and heaviness. Heaviness, yes.
Okay. So, as a conservation and restoration architect, what is your ethical duty towards preserving history and heritage and culture?
Thank you for this.
That's because it's not something that is easy, to be honest. You're recording history, but not in the sense of doing a podcast. You're recording history in fixing something that has been there for the longest time and just bringing it back to life. You're bringing something back to life. So what is your ethical duty?
Who my drive today is a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
Because once you start dealing with heritage, you understand the importance that it and the influence that will transmit to the youth.
Okay.
And especially the youth, they need to belong and they need to be proud.
Absolutely.
And if you are a person who understands the language of the past and the language of the future, then you feel like you are the moderator. I'm doing it my way, but many people are doing it in different ways.
Oh, sorry.
And then there is the historical asset that it is important by itself. So, and we have richness and depth in our culture.
Absolutely.
So why wouldn't we showcase them for ourselves, for our nation,
for future generations?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
As simple as and it's a very deep question, but I'm gonna just.
Well, your job is other than it being cool, it's also very. I'm very proud of you.
Thanks.
It's very
I'm
nice.
Proud of you, Sabah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Always.
Thank you so much. So, in your opinion, as an architect in this field, what do you think Saudi Arabia's role is in preserving human history on an international level?
Okay. So, based on also my humble experience and my humble being on site and understanding about what we have today in Saudi Arabia, I believe that we can change the understanding of history. Because we are in a location that is a pathway of many cultures. Even the archaeology is yet virgin in our lands, and yet there is big number of archaeological excavations that's gonna happen. So once you say there is stories of the Quran and the Bible and this means that the science and the decision makers that they wanted to trace the Roman period, and this belongs to the Romans. Yes, with all respect to the Romans. But today we have the honor and the responsibility as well to because we understand, and this is I sensed with all people who have this understanding about history. We understand this responsibility, starting with even like we have Mecca, we have Al-Medina, we have important religious places here in Saudi Arabia. So we can. And I believe that we can change history and the understanding of history.
There you go. Njoud, this was all of my questions. Thank you so much. But before we go, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on over here? Because this is so cool.
If you remember, we did a workshop before about mud.
This was so much fun. Can you tell us a little bit of what is this?
Okay.
And
so this is a mud brick. It's basically a result of a mixture between sand, red sand, and clay, and hay. So if we speak about this mud brick, in specific ratios, it has to be fermented for a specific period of time.
Okay.
And then there is chemical interactions that gonna happen that will change the components of the material and bring it to a more durable element.
So if you mix all of these together
Aye.
with X amount of water,
Yes.
you ferment it for X amount of days.
Yes.
How
And
many?
then
2 weeks, right?
40 days is good. The more you ferment, to me,
Okay.
is good. And it happens like the bacterial interaction in a human gut. So it is very similar to us human beings.
Interesting.
It changes in color and it stinks. And the more it stinks,
I smelled it.
Yeah,
It does stink.
yeah. But the more it stinks, this means even better. But once it dries, it gets back to its original color and good smell.
This doesn't smell
Anyway,
like anything. It smells like dirt, so it's
yeah, it's gonna get back and smelling into, but it's just becoming durable and elastic. So that's why fermentation is very important.
okay.
And what brings the fermentation is the cellulose that comes from the hay.
Sorry, what? The
Cellulose and even more other things.
what's cellulose? Njoud, talk to me. It's like you're a doctor now.
No, so
Speak English, please.
yeah, so mainly the hay brings out all the fermentation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very important. So that's why maybe a room of innovation can happen. Yeah, and if we, yeah, not because the hay is a problem for the earthen buildings because of the termites.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they love eating the hay. So maybe innovation, we can bring it, we can extract.
That's why you use the fiber. You said
One
because
of
it's the closest to this.
Yes, but it wasn't very successful. So because we need this
So
elasticity.
you guys even do have
Innovation.
trial and errors in creating something that is okay.
Yes. And this is dealing with heritage. Dealing with conservation is learning by practice, learning by, and everything in life, not only in conservation.
Absolutely. Yeah, true. Well, Njoud, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for sharing your expertise. And thank you so much.
Thank you for being you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. She's the founder of NW2.3, a multidisciplinary design company that aims to blend Saudi cultural architecture with modern design and innovative designs. Joining us today, the interior architect, Noura Suleiman. Noura, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me and for your amazing show.
Thank you.
Which I feel is going to be very promising and really informative on all sectors. I have heard so many of the episodes, the much episodes you have.
Thank you so much.
And I enjoyed them all.
Thank you for your support and thank you for being here. It shows so much support that you're here. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's just very... Thank you.
Thank you, Likia, wallah.
Okay, so Noura, you heard my first segment and the intro, and I talked about the 4 phases that architecture in Saudi went through. And from your expertise, what are the current architectural styles that are prevalent in Saudi right now?
Well, in Saudi Arabia right now, tradition and modernity has a crucial role in shaping the architectural layout in Saudi Arabia, which is very culturally resonant and forward-thinking in the same time. We have a modern architecture.
Okay.
And you can see it in buildings like Ithra, which is opened in 2018. It's an initiative from Aramco for the public, promoting the cultural development, the knowledge, the diversity, and it has modern Islamic resemblance.
Okay, I did not know that.
Like when you get into the interiors, you'll see the motifs and all of that.
Oh, nice.
It's also inspired from nature.
Oh, wow.
The 3 rocks, it has it's shaped in the shapes of
now
rocks.
that you say it, it makes sense.
It has a very nice story, very nice theme, and
it's beautiful. It's a very nice building, honestly.
it is. We also have neo-vernacular designs, which are, preserving the culture and the heritage, adding to that the modernity of the new architectural methods and so on. Royal Dir'iyah Opera project, which is announced recently, is a very good example of that. It narrates the story of Dir'iyah, yet it captures and embraces the future of Saudi Arabia and the boundless possibilities of that future. We also have futuristic designs, as you see in all the metro stations, also in Kaft, which is a beautiful development, has amazing buildings, as you see. We also have King Abdullah Petroleum Studies and Research Center, which was designed by Zaha Hadid Associates. And and as you see, it's like a completely futuristic design. Takes you to another world.
Wow.
We also in Saudi, sustainability plays a great role in shaping the architectural scene. Sustainable innovations like KAUST, King Abdullah,
the one
University
in
Jeddah. And it's not in Jeddah, it's in...
it's just a few kilometers.
Exactly. This project is by itself energy efficient. It promotes water conservation, the integration within the landscape and the natural landscape. Cultural heritage preservation projects are also happening ever since. درعية بجيري, as you know, البلد in Jeddah is a big project. السودة in Asir. The private sector as well has contributed to that by creating neo-vernacular designs.
So neo-vernacular, saying it right, neo-vernacular designs are basically designs that are modern, but also in touch with the heritage.
I have visited a beautiful project recently that is done done by private sector, which is the Shamalat.
I've heard about this.
Yes, and Shamalat had taken an old house in the middle of Dir'iyah. They restored the building, and they added a completely modern structure to it, which makes it look beautiful.
So it's the exterior is...
as you enter, you are entering into an old house that has been restored with a batan hawi and so on. The furniture is late century, almost touching the history. And then you enter through there into a building that is completely modern.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow.
I
that's very nice.
I suggest you go visit it.
I definitely will. So you'd say vernacular design is prevalent in Saudi right now.
Exactly.
So how has the economic boom driven by oil impacted the field of architecture in general in Saudi?
Okay. As we all know, economic boom in Saudi driven by oil, the oil economic boom in Saudi happened in the 1930s. Back then, the educational system had already started flourishing. They sent a lot of students abroad in scholarships to study in whether Egypt, Lebanon, the UK, and the USA. These students came back with an understanding of what it is to be done, what needs to be done, whether it's in the architectural field, the economy, the basis of everything and the know-how of everything. Whether they had managed their family companies or they had worked in the public sector. Most of them became ministers and were posted in highly influential posts. With that, with as well vision from the government and the empowerment of the Saudi government and the royal family and kings, past kings, a lot of architectural developments had happened with a very modern, futuristic approach. And I think this led to creating a landscape of architecture with modernity that I see beautiful, had really inspired us ever since we were kids, looking at Ministry of Defense or the there are many that I cannot think of right now, but like one of them is the Ministry of Defense. A lot of buildings on Malaz and Murabba, Old Murabba, and Al Malaz district, which shaped that landscape. Yet, this architectural boom that happened with a complete reflection of modernity and what has been done all over the world when they have acquisitioned the best talents from Japan, from Korea, from Italy, France, you name it. Whether in private sector properties or in the government. It shaped Saudi in a very modern way that took us away from the culture and the heritage.
All right. So it became too modern without any
regionalization, which is what we call in architecture and urban development. We needed this regionalization to create an identity that is made for Saudi, different from all other countries, and like. This is the core principle, one of the core principles of architecture, and why it's done differently in each country.
Absolutely.
And the charter came, and King Salman had been one of the most influential people in that change, and going back to culture, and we saw Al Mahkama Al Ulya, we saw Riyadh Airport, we saw many of these beautiful, modern, yet heritage, which is called new. No, this is not what it's called, but it's modern with a very...
With a touch of heritage and
cultural resemblance.
Okay. So from which architectural style has been most prominent from that era to this day? And what created this? Because you said modernity, and there's a lot of modernity that happened, and we've kind of let go of architectural identity in the country.
In the country. At the beginning, we can say it was modern. Modern approach towards architecture, interiors. You can get into people's houses nowadays, which had been built in the 70s and 80s, and I have been into many. And you see, they look like as if you had opened Architectural Digest from that back then.
Oh, wow.
Everything in these houses had been built with a very modern approach. Everything is state of the art, best of the best materials, very well done. Yet, with the lack of culture the lack of heritage,
Identity and
local identity in these buildings, you would be mistaking them or the pictures of humans in these the interaction of humans with these buildings to any other house in California or
absolutely,
or a building in the middle of New York.
Yeah.
So I guess going back to heritage and culture was crucial at that time. And we saw it happening, as I said before. المحكمة العليا had been built with a great resemblance to the Saudi heritage. مطار الرياض, مطار الملك خالد is one of these beautiful monuments that I admire so much. Every time I'm there, I'm like looking at the ceilings, the curves, the triangles. It's great architecture.
It's quite beautiful, honestly. King Khalid Airport is one of my favorite buildings in Riyadh. Just maybe because it has a lot of memories for me. I don't know.
Nice memories. Qasr Tuwaiq is considered one of these buildings that had been built with a historical or a cultural.
Okay.
It's also beautiful. Sometimes using the local material like brick and mud or like even Hajar al-Riyadh with the resemblance that has not really have to do with triangles or like the door or like complete
exactly copy paste
or like having this specific
sometimes
ornament.
You just need
the feel
natural resources and like you said like not archaeological, no.
Biophilic.
Agricultural elements.
Landscapes.
Yes.
To be fit with the agricultural landscape.
Yes.
Definitely.
So, in your opinion, how does society perceive architecture and what role does it play in our lives? Because, like you said, after the economic boom that happened in the country, a lot of things have changed. A lot of people have done a lot of things differently. We modernized our buildings from mud buildings to, I don't know, gypsum board. I don't know what.
From mud to,
like bricks, bricks
and steel and glass.
And concrete and stuff like that.
So much of glass and steel in the past 10 years that was suffocating. And
okay.
And I used to like meet with a lot of architects, and everyone was not happy with these claddings and glass and non-sustainable buildings, which they had to pay or like convince the client to leave, but they wouldn't. And just because it's the trend, and then you have to add a lot of work on the electromechanical system. So it's a complete loss of effort and money, which was not accepted by architects. Yet the client plays a big role in the decision making of the architect's view.
I mean,
so you can be hired to design a project. Yet if the understanding of the client does not reflect your beliefs or does not work with what you have in mind, and you fail to convince, then you will always follow what they want, because at the end it's a business that has to run.
Okay. We could say I went my brother's landscape, not landscape, what do you call it? The
plans.
Yeah, the exact same plans, and you do it in each and every house and whatever.
I've seen
this
happening.
Yeah, just a repetition of whatever is there, which is creating,
and it kills innovation.
Yeah, I mean, for you guys, it must be just very discouraging.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've seen this. I've heard a lot of architects say that before, and now after what's happening with the charter and the development,
we'll get to that. We'll get there. But how does society perceive?
This, architecture is a very crucial pillar in the society. It affects us in so many ways. To begin with, let's start with the environment.
Okay.
And how it affects how using materials that are sustainable, how creating structures that are also conscious to its exterior, following the natural landscapes,
Yeah.
creating beauty, all of that is one thing. Another non-chemically emitting, and as I said before, for example, the glass claddings and the metal structures,
Yeah.
the ventilation and lighting, the cooling systems and the consumption of electricity.
Okay. So
These are
this is
the responsibilities.
no. Is this because what I understood from my architect friends is that architects and engineers are each other's worst enemies.
كل واحد.
Because the engineer is like very technical. It's 1, 2, 3, and the architect is just they dream and like we'll do this and that and whatever, and then the architect, the engineer brings him back to life basically.
The engineer is the safety valve. You know, like the safety.
Exactly.
Yet engineers are hurt. Like the whole dynamic of creating a project in architecture or design is what you said. I could be a dreamer.
Yeah.
Yet I have a vision as well.
Okay.
The engineer's responsibility is to fulfill my dream.
Okay.
Yet
sometimes
I would be like dreaming too much.
Okay.
And
bring you back to earth.
And they would actually bring me back to earth.
Okay.
Yet sometimes it's something. It depends on the expertise of the engineer.
Okay.
How exposed they are, how much knowledge they have in the field, and how innovative they are in creating solutions.
Okay.
Another problem that we had faced back then, as well, in my opinion, is that there is always a hidden cost.
Okay.
In architecture and design, and this hidden cost is not questioned, neither by the designer, nor by the client, and it's always the construction, the contractors,
laborers,
the contractors' responsibility. And given that, you would see structures that have a lot of steel. A lot of concrete used, hiding the beauty of what could be a building, consuming a lot of material, energy, money, manpower, and so on. And no one can question what's happening there. Because thinking that the civil engineer or the contractor knows their role, and are playing their role correctly, you would think that if you reduce the amount of steel or concrete or layers of material, the structure will fall. So this whole thing can be on another episode.
Okay. Okay. So it's do we say contractors or contractors? So المقاول أكبر مشكلة في الحياة. Okay.
المقاول في الأخير هو كمان مسكين يعني.
أكبر مشكلة في الحياة for architects, I guess, المقاول.
يعني sometimes
you can't live without them, but you can't live with them, right?
Once you find a good one,
stick to them.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Just keep them.
So what is your social responsibility as an architect in raising awareness on costs, on raising awareness on, like you said, trends, fads, and things that are not really sustainable for building a home or building a skyscraper. So,
well, this has so many aspects. Like, I'm not going to talk about myself personally, but I think the responsibility of an architect towards the job is it's vast. We have a social responsibility. We have an environment, as I said, environmental responsibility. We have a responsibility towards the accessibility and inclusivity of either handicapped or like even the building the people into the structure itself. We have a responsibility towards health and well-being. To name a few, يعني, the culture, the heritage, the education, all of these. If we want to talk about the environment, which I had spoken about before, using the materials, sustainability, using a healthy, raising the awareness of the client in what is good materials that are sustainable, that are not non-chemically emitting materials.
How does that affect the client? If I were to build a house,
if it's a private house, it's affecting you directly.
How?
Let's say I had to choose parquet for you.
Okay.
Wooden parquet.
Okay.
I have a choice of choosing natural parquet or synthetic engineered wood or synthetic completely plastic.
Okay.
The cost will change.
Absolutely.
Yet, if I had the brief correctly given from the beginning, and we had discussed the project on many occasions regarding the cost, the budget, what fits you, what materials you would like to use, how much of this, what stages you want to build the building on. Do you have? It's a complete study on the project that needs to be done in order to reach a project that would not stop in the middle. For no reason, unless there is a plan and works according to plan, that would be using materials that are coherent, yet following a budget that is designed in a way that is functional, space conscious, lighting done perfectly.
No, but if we're saying you said you said 3 types of parquets. One that is like natural wood. The other one is engineered. Engineering is it that? I don't know what that is.
Engineered wood يعني it's made of
it's
wood
manufactured.
that is manufactured. Pieces like re-engineered wood.
Okay. Okay. And then the third one is like basically plastic.
The third one is plastic.
Okay. So
when it comes to cheap material, whether in fabric, whether in wood, whether in paint, lighting even affects you.
But how is it affecting me in terms of, are you talking about the longevity of the material itself?
This is one thing.
Okay.
Another thing is that some materials, because they're synthetic, they emit gases that affect you. Yeah, it affects your lungs. It affects carpet. If it's not pure wool or pure silk or done in a
small details you don't even think about.
Exactly. Yeah. So they emit these gases, these fibers, these or they transmit light in a way that is, it's a broad it's a broad subject. Yet they affect the health of the users in a bad way. And causes cancer. It causes all these.
Wow.
So this is something that not everyone knows and not everybody is aware of.
And not everybody apparently talks about.
Not really.
Yeah.
So natural, always going with natural materials that are from nature, from the nature of the place itself. Understanding the direction of light, how much AC needs to be used in a structure, how much openings, windows. All of this is the architectural the architect's role when it comes to the structure itself. If we want to talk about the role of an architect for the society in general, then creating the, for example, if you're in a mall or a hospital, and all the access points are done with stairs, and there isn't any slopes for people who are handicapped. Or these are the basic rules of architecture.
Okay.
Yet sometimes things get out of hand because, or are done. They're existing in the project, but they're done in a hard to reach way. So the easier access would be for normal people, yet the more challenging or challenged people will have
trouble getting to.
accessing.
Okay.
طبعا this has decreased so much in the past, let's say 20 years.
Oh, that's great.
And I think we will have better solutions in the future, inshallah.
Ya Rab, inshallah.
Another aspect which I wanted to talk about is the cultural sensitivity of building structure for the society. And as we spoke before, having regionalization of cities or urban developments, and keeping the structures done in a modern way, with resemblance to culture, with resemblance to the society itself, being unique, diverse, innovative. All of that plays a huge role for the culture, for the economy, for the tourism, for on so many aspects.
Yeah, even individuals. Yeah,
individuals themselves. I guess,
Interesting. You have a lot of responsibilities as architects, and from what I've heard from my friends is that you also take part as being sometimes therapists and marriage counselors to some clients.
We fix marriages.
You do that. You do that.
We have. And actually, if we want to tackle this point, I always tell them that in our job, especially being an entrepreneur, we work with 5 or 6 different directions, in 5-6 different directions.
Oh, okay.
We work as leaders in our institutions.
Yeah.
We work as you said, therapists and
marriage counselors
and even like psychiatrists, because you have a client that you need to understand the needs of. You need to know how to manage in order to reach the end of the project. You need to control your emotions, your reactions, give them what they want, yet take what you want. All of that. You also have to deal with the third parties, which are the contractors, who are not easy to deal with. You need to deal with the workers. You need to deal with you have to be a lawyer yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, best of luck to you as an architect. Best of luck.
Definitely needed.
Okay, so your work is being known for its innovative yet very cultural and heritage-driven designs. How can you achieve this and balance them out and not make something very cultural and very like in your face sadu? And then again have something that's not also very modern and without like a sense of cultural identity. How do you strike that balance?
Being an interior architect, I am always aware of the culture is also the way we live.
Absolutely.
So having to do with the Saudi culture, being a Saudi to begin with, having to deal with the families or a client, or creating a hospitality project for catering for Khalij and because mostly like Saudis and Khalijis are the main client. Then comes the international clientele, also having to do with the resembling culture within the hospitality project, which means welcoming the European into a huge room rather than a 24 square meter.
Absolutely.
Or sometimes 18, I heard. This is also culture. So whether it takes a completely modern bend in or turn in design, or having to do with the heritage and keeping the identity of the Salmani architecture, or is also part of being culturally aware. Later on, so we cater. Usually, we cater for the needs of the client and their taste and the tastes of Saudis are not easy to deal with because we love luxury. We love luxury in all its levels. In everything in our lives. So. Whether it's a small flat or a huge palace, luxury
grandiose.
Minimalism is not our thing.
Okay.
I have encountered some projects that were minimal and to also environmentally friendly. Which was really beautiful. Having this couple asking for an environmentally friendly design that they were aware of this, and using materials that are sustainable, minimal, but using amazing art. To enhance the look and feel of the space was also was something, but it doesn't happen every time. Most of the time we are using the best luxurious marbles, gilded ceilings, silk embroidered wallpapers, and they come fetching for that. If you don't show them that, then it's like you don't understand anything.
I don't want that.
You're not a good designer.
Okay, fair.
And then you bump into the budgets and all of that, and then things reshape themselves. You value engineer the project.
Yes.
But this is it. This is the culture we work with. And then we have our Salmani. As in NW 2.3 is basically what we took on ourselves. In 2018 or 17, we had a post from Darat ibn Abdul Aziz. To renovate the مركز ترميم المخطوطات. And this is when it was the second time, not the first time. The second time I decide to use culture, heritage in a project. I went there. I visited, I saw the people, they're all local Saudis. They did beautiful work, amazing. And I wanted to thank them one way or another, or cherish them in a way, and create this environment which was completely modern, fully clean, completely aware of their use. It's a workspace at the end. So these clean surfaces, plain, all of that. Yet we integrated the Saudi Najdi culture into the ceilings, in the labs, in the entrances, and so on. Before that, and when I was in my graduation year, and this doesn't have to do with NW and the company, but it was my own self. I did have the, I did think of my graduation project to be a resort. When back then, and back then is so much back then. There wasn't. Ministry of Tourism had just started. And I got the chance to reach to one of my best friends' farm in Diriyah. I took the blueprints of the farm. And along with my professors back then who were in love with me. And I was in love with them. we created a resort that catered for locals and Khalijis. Which was a melting pot of cultures in Saudi. So I took embroideries and and ornaments from the north.
Wow.
I spoke to my friends who were from Hail, for example, Rashid,
Okay.
and they told me all about the stories of how when they got married, like their grandmothers got married, what the marriage was like, what the homes looked like, what they presented for the bride, what the room.
So you created a whole experience.
I kept on dreaming and dreaming and dreaming of all of that. I also tackled the Asir and the Suda.
Wow.
I was,
where can we see this project?
I'll recreate it.
You have to.
I have it, but the renders are horrible. And
then you have a chance to do this again.
I have a
now.
team to do it. So I'll do it.
There you go.
And
exactly.
then, like the room categories followed.
Parts
regions.
of Saudi.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you had Hayal to be, for example, the royal suite. Asir to be the twin bedroom.
Wow.
Najd, then the lobby included all the regions as a melting pot for everything.
Yeah.
So you see Najdi motifs, you see ornaments from the north, you see Qat' Asiri, you see all of that in one place, and then one more thing which was culturally aware was having the pool in each unit, because it's a one floor resort. Each pool was architecturally designed in a way that I would be in my room enjoying my pool, overlooking the view of the palm trees, yet not be seen from the other chalet, like the other room. And
so privacy and
exactly. It was a very comprehensive project.
Well, I think you should get a call from Ministry of Tourism to create this project, honestly, because it sounds...
You know what happened? I was interviewed by Sharq Awsat, and back then I was a child, yani. And the lady was like, what was your dream? I was like, my dream is for the Ministry of Tourism to reach out to my project and create it in real life. And this was written like a small sentence, you know.
Yalla, inshallah, here's to hoping.
Inshallah,
Ya Rab, Ya Rab.
Love to.
So, what would you say your guiding philosophy in terms of design approach?
I started my company after years of working in other companies. Also, I worked as a freelancer for so long. I loved and I fell in love and thought I would be an interior designer or an interior architect. Back when I was 18. When I had first started working on our project, our family project. Watching my parents, I mean, they were also passionate about that field. And I met a lot of designers. I suggested some ideas to them, and many of them looked at me and said, you are a designer. You're an interior designer, an architect by nature. You should just go and study and open your own thing.
Oh, wow.
Or come work with us later on, you know?
Okay.
So this was fun, and it was really motivating. So when I started, I knew there was a couple of studios and companies in the country. Yet I had a different approach towards creating this service provider with an international approach towards design, execution, and we had, alhamdulillah, reached this level where we are internationally known amongst companies, locally and internationally, whether it's material companies, whether it's furniture companies, and so on. This approach came from the lack of this specific niche service that catered to clients in our way of catering. And because I mean, I know that people still go to international companies. They still love to work with international companies, and I don't blame any. it is not easy to reach where we have reached today.
Okay.
To cover all the aspects that we have covered today
Okay.
in terms of specification details, in terms of working drawings, in terms of budgeting, material use, brands, styles, exploration, all of that. And our approach is very diverse. We don't stick to one style.
Okay.
In my company, and I don't like to repeat anything.
Okay.
Every project has its own vibe, its own resemblance of the client's vibe, his needs, his taste, and our role is to translate all of that into a beautiful project that is beautifully designed,
Specifically
tailored for you.
Okay. Fair.
And I'm not exaggerating, because if I would follow my own style and do, for example, Salmani all over, it would conflict with my initial approach.
Okay.
But yet we are towards that.
Yeah.
On a special, on a like a, let's say. A section of the company that will be creating furniture, creating designs, Salmani approach all around, and so on.
Okay.
And everything else will stay as is until we see what will happen.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Here's hoping. Did having an architecture commission by the Ministry of Culture change anything in your practice? Did it influence anything in your practice?
Having to know that there is an architectural commission is a great deal.
Okay.
We know that they will reach to us one day, that they will know we exist, and Dr. Sumaya is a very nice human to deal with and to talk to. Yet, with us being very busy in our daily tasks, we have not reached out to.
Okay.
I only meet them in social events, but I have not encountered any service or reached out to get a service from there. Yet I am in the jury of many of the universities, like Princess Noura, Prince Sultan University.
Oh, mashallah.
And I know that they had. They have played an amazing role, which I had been ever since talking to my university, Prince Sultan, about enhancing the curriculums.
Okay.
In a way in a way that could promote the students' abilities to work directly in a studio or in a company or in a institution. This came through years and years of following up with their development in their graduation projects, and giving our input after training the students. Also after working with them for some time, and they were very nice to listen. And they still come to me and tell me we did this as you said.
That's amazing. That's nice.
That's really great.
It's nice that you have people that look up to you as an architect, like as an interior architect, and what you do, and they would love your opinion on what they're doing.
Exactly. They're still, some of them are still, they're still there. They are my professors from back then. And they still teach the students. So when I'm there, it's like a friendly approach. Where they accept, they know me, they know my work, they know who I am, so they really accept my opinion. And they have been following me on my social media platforms. Which I have created, honestly. You asked me a question before, and I repeat the answer now. I'll tell you the answer now. I have a Snapchat account, which I started. I'm a very social human
like social gatherings and
I'm
your friends.
nice.
Yeah.
But like I'm not into the social scene or like being famous or any of that. If I want fame, then I want NW to be famous. I want my work to flourish. I want to be known for my work and so on. So I started the Snapchat account, and I started it in order to educate people who follow me in design.
Okay.
On all aspects, art, materials, architecture, lifestyle, and utilizing spaces. What is nice, what is not, what is well done, what is not. New restaurants opening that I love the design approach of. I explain what's happening and what's going on. I reach out to Milan Fair, to Saloni del Mobile, to design Paris Design Week and Maison et Objet. I start talking to them about what's happening, what's new, what's trending, and so on. And I do it in a very friendly, like
casual
approach,
way.
casual, that even is not documented, يعني. But
okay, what's your Snapchat account so people would?
والله في كمان دعايات.
No, it's actually people would like if they're interested they would.
Yeah. والله so many. Alhamdulillah, I'm blessed. It's so funny because I'd be like in a social event, and somebody would come to me. I know you. And I'm like, I don't show my face on Snapchat. It's merely objects.
Okay.
So they're like, I know you from your voice. I'm like, no. This can't be. Panic attack.
Wow.
Or like really people that I really look up to. In terms of style or like class. And they come to me and they're like, Noura, we follow you. I'm like, I'm honored. Please tell me.
Exactly how I felt when you told me that you love the podcast. So
لا ما شاء الله عليكي والله.
بعد قلبي والله. طيب Noura, so with the increasing prevalence of architectural building codes in Saudi, it's becoming a bit more uniform in Saudi cities. So is this something that concerns architects? Does it kill creativity having building codes, or does it unify and make it, because we went from unified and then to disruptive, to modern, sorry, and then disruptive, and then now we're in the, you said what I forgot.
Regionalization.
No,
vernacular.
Yes, neo vernacular, and now we're having building codes. So how do you feel about it?
يمكن new vernacular is also it doesn't have to do with the building codes, but let me tell you. Building codes, why are they used? They are to create unified use of buildings to work towards the benefit of the user, the client, to create regionalization in cities, to create that sense of belonging to people when they reach Riyadh. Then this uniformity or like this,
you're in Riyadh.
You know when you're in Riyadh. You know when you're in Dir'iyah. You know when you're in Masar Riyadi. You know when you're in Wadi Hanifa. And so on. Having to deal with a code that is restricting in color and material in building space could be looked at as restricting. Yet we are innovative humans.
All right.
We are creative people. Or else
maneuver your way around the codes.
Exactly. This is what people are doing nowadays. So when a designer is not creative enough, if not able to create something within limitations, there is always limitations. The client on his own is a limitation. The material, the budget is a limitation. The material selection is a limitation. The style they want.
But having more limitation to the limitations is
شوفي I've spoken to architects about it. Some were pro, some were
against.
Somehow not against, but they're like
we could live without it.
But I'll tell you, the government had created this fulfill a huge gap and to restructure something that has been done in the past. We have Code Wadi Hanifa, we have Code al-Masar al-Riyadi. Code Wadi Hanifa, if you look at it from an architecture perspective, it had given the chance to architects to build الفرونت اللي هو الارتداد اللي هو frontage
Frontal?
like the space between the building and the fence.
Okay.
To be utilized from 4 sides.
Okay.
Or 2 sides in some of the codes.
Okay.
Having this and having the ability to keep, if it's a residential building, for example, to keep the irtidad or the frontage from one side more than the other. So one side will be sticking to the fence. The other side will have a 4 square meter garden.
Space, yeah.
It's better than having the 2 meters here and a 2 meter here.
Fair.
And not having a garden at all, which had happened in the past.
Okay.
Another thing is a 5-story building, which for commercial use, which is a multi-use building.
Yeah.
Is also a plus for the client, for the architect, for the investor, for everyone, all stakeholders. If you have a 5-story building that could function as two buildings, instead of having one that is 2 floors, that is only for one purpose, residential is residential, commercial is commercial, office space is office space. It's creating, it's first of all environmentally aware, spatially aware, really innovative, giving more ideas and space for the architect to be creative in designing it, and efficient.
Okay.
We can no longer go vertically.
Yeah.
We have to start going horizontally, and this is part of the vision.
Riyadh doesn't have any more space.
Exactly. Another aspect of the building code that probably is a bit like a setback is the color and material and all of that. Yet when you think about it, using this is something that also takes a lot from the thought and creativity of the architect to reach somewhere that the past architect or other architects' peers did not reach to. So يعني I'm still waiting.
Okay.
We will at the end the end result will be a beautiful city with very coherent buildings that are that work together in a very nice way, that resemble culture, that works with the environment, that creates an identity, and will give generations to come pride in what we had created. One thing that also the code and the charter had helped in is, for example, you know that, for example, King Fahd Library had a beautiful garden or landscape around it that was not accessed by people. نفس الشيء في same thing in the municipality of Riyadh. I used to rented offices in a building that overlooked the municipality, and I used to look at the palm trees and the fountains and the landscape of the buildings. It was a piece of art. And now only like I'm talking 6 years later, is when it opened its doors to the public. It was a beautiful landscape with gardens and palm trees and fountains that could not be accessed.
And now it is.
So these two things and more to come. يعني you could have a commercial building that is built on a certain percentage of the space, but the other parts would be a beautiful landscape that is catering to the public, that is creating interaction between the public and the building structure. So حلو.
Yeah, beautiful. Very nice. I really want to visit that place that you said with the palm trees.
Looking at it just from above was a dream. Now you can go and like take beautiful photos.
Wow. Definitely will check it out.
Inshallah.
Noura, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
for your insights, for explaining everything. It really means a lot.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for your challenging questions that made me think of all of that.
I'm
it's
happy.
It's like a lot in me
Yeah.
that was kept for so long. And I started exploring it again in the past few days.
I'm so happy I ignited something.
Well, it really ignited like a lot of inspiration.
Alhamdulillah. I'm
going
so
back
happy.
to my true self.
I'm so happy that I even got to do that at least.
Habibti.
Thank you so much.